Hey, Brian, you started out the discussion going through the visitation weekends at Notre Dame and what this is going to look like over the next month. And then you started to kind of break down the talent and the leans and so forth and how it stands right now. When you look at the big time targets for Notre Dame right now, who are those guys that if they don't hit on player A, they've got a nice backup in players B and C at that position versus who do you think are really the targets that, man, they need to get him because if they don't get such and such corner or wide receiver, they may have to default to who knows, and that's going to be a drop off.
Yeah, I think receiver is the one position that I'm most concerned about. Of if they miss on their top guys, I'm concerned that they're not gonna have a class that's gonna live up to the standard of what I say. Is it's not gonna be a gap closing class, right? That's a big thing that we use at our channel is gap closers, because right now a gap exists between Notre Dame and Clemson and Ohio State and certainly Alabama. And I know Notre Dame fans like to point to the fact that well, you beat Clemson. Okay, you beat Clemson without Trevor Lawrence, Tyler Davis. We've kind of got into that conversation. So a gap still exists. So to me, if you don't land Tobias Merriweather and CJ Williams, and in my opinion, Xavier Bradshaw, who's a three-star recruit that I think is a flat-out stud, if you strike out on two of those three guys, I don't know if your class is going to live up to the standard that you need. And then safety's the other one. Safety's a unique position, John. I'm looking at someone who said something, John, in the chat. Apologies. Mark, it's not a great safety class to begin with. I think they're still sort of evaluating the board because of what Nick talked about, which is some states just finished their spring. Some states didn't play. Some of these kids haven't even played as juniors. KJ Winston, for example, is a safety that Notre Dame likes from Maryland. Well, they didn't make up the 2020 season. They didn't have spring football. He just didn't play. So you're still trying to rely on sophomore film. And so when you look at the fact that it is not a great safety class nationally anyway, that's another position. If Ohio State is able to get Xavier Nowak put a commit before he gets to Notre Dame, and then Sherrod Coble's the other one, but Clemson and other schools are pushing for him. If you can't get one of those two kids, I think there's a drop-off between those two and what else is on the board. So those are the two positions I'm worried about. Everywhere else, honestly, Mark, I either feel like Notre Dame's going to get their top guys or they've got enough depth there that they're going to be able to go get another player. For example, I think Notre Dame is going to land Jalen Sneed and Junior Tuihalamaka at linebacker. Well, if they're not able to get one of those two guys, then I think they'll get Sebastian Cheeks, who's another top 125 caliber linebacker. Offensive line, I think there's enough good. If they miss on a couple guys, there's some other really good players right there. But they're already done at tight end. They've already got their quarterback. If they miss on Dallin Hayden or Nicholas Singleton at running back or Gavin Sawchuk, they've already got a 4-star running back committed in Jadarian Price, and they signed 2 4-star running backs a year ago. So I think they're still in a good place. So I think receiver and safety are the two right now that I'm most concerned about Notre Dame being able to have the kind of gap closing class they need if they miss on their top targets.